Hi, I'm Dan Can. Welcome to the Invested Life podcast. You get to participate in the inaugural, the first, the maiden voyage mailbag episode. I initiated with our faithful listeners on the podcast and asked them questions in regards to what they have after listening to the podcast. I think a lot of these questions are going to pertain to you and your life. We're going to jump into this mailbag after this.
Most people chase success. Few build it on a foundation that lasts. On the Invested Life with Dan Can, we explore the intersection of faith, business, and personal growth, helping you invest in what matters most. This is your space to protect, provide, and promote with purpose. Join us now and start building a life you truly love.
Hey, I'm Dan Can. Welcome to the Invested Life podcast. This is a show where we firmly believe that we should invest in ourselves, others, and businesses. The businesses that I invest in are insurance and real estate. I love those two spheres. I think they're fantastic. This is also the episode where we learn how to provide, protect, and promote. I believe as leaders, as husbands, fathers, community members, that we have the fantastic blessing and opportunity to do that for those around us. Today is a new day. This is a mailbag. These are questions that our faithful listeners have asked, and I am ready to answer them. I know on this show that we cover a variety of topics. We talk about real estate, we talk about investing, we talk about insurance, we talk about mindset. Today, we're going to really focus on some specific questions, and these are probably questions that you've had. This first question that I really am impressed with this question because I know this gentleman. He's fantastic. He's one of my favorite people to communicate with in the world. I'm going to pop on my glasses because I'm 50. And here's the first question that we're going to go over today. What are some steps to take to move from being an employee to running a business? Once again, what are some steps to take to move from being an employee to running a business? Well, hey, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Leaders read and readers lead. I would start reading some books. Surprise. And these books, I have a list of the Impact 5. I talk about them a lot on this podcast. Please email me at DanCan at Wave Capital Lending and I'll send you the list. First book I would read is How to Win Friends and Influence People. The second one I would read is The Richest Man in Babylon. Richest Man in Babylon is a fantastic book, and it really helps you in regards to the philosophy of being a business owner, the philosophy of owning your life. I believe even if you are an employee that you should run your life as a business. That business is Me Inc. Me Inc. Me Incorporated. The first thing that I would do would start reading those books. Second thing I would do is I would find a mentor. I would find somebody in the business community that you admire. And I would encourage you to look past just the business. This man or woman, I believe, should be influential not only in the marketplace, but also in their family. If you can't do both, I don't think it's worth copying or emulating. So those are a couple things I would do. The next thing I would do is this. I would start saving. Well, this is after you give 10%. So after you give 10%, I would start saving 10% of your money immediately. We're going to do a book report on a wonderful book called Profit First. And one of the key concepts in that book is pay yourself first. So be generous, give 10%. Second is save 10%. What's that money for? Well, that's seed money. And you're also proving to yourself that you really want to do this, that you really want to own a business. I've talked to a number of people over the last 20 years, 2 decades. They come to me, I'm tired of being an employee. I want to run a business. I want to buy a business. And I listen to them with grace and mercy. And then I ask them this simple question. How much money do you have saved for your dream? At that point, 90% of them slouch their shoulders and say, I don't have any money saved up. And I said, okay, well, you don't have a dream. You just have an idea. You need to prove to yourself that you really want to do this. So start saving the money. So here are the three things to recap before we move to the next question. 1, start reading books. 2, find a mentor, somebody that you respect that's both successful in the marketplace and in their family. 3, save 10% for your dream. And that is, of course, pardon me, after you give. Now, the next question is this, and I really like this one. What are the best ways to teach kids business and life principles? What are the best ways to teach kids business and life principles? Well, I would say to that, by your own life. Be an example. Incorporate them into your daily, quarterly, annual decisions as a family. What we would do in our family is we would often talk about business opportunities. We would talk about finances. We would talk about how we wanted to go on vacation and how we saved for those vacations. I would oftentimes bring my kids down to the auction when we would go to buy houses. I would bring them when I would get quotes from vendors. I truly believe as a father that I was called to disciple and mentor my boys, and I did that to the best of my ability. And that wasn't just with the word of God. That wasn't just in regards to our family values. That was in regards to how I treat people. I would bring them to coaches meeting when I coached their sports. I would bring them to business meetings. I believe one of the key aspects in our society that we are losing and losing quickly is mentorship and discipleship, apprenticeships. This is a pretty most recent problem. I would say over the last 200 years, 100 years, we've gotten away from this model. And it's really sad because we can learn so many things from the generations above us. So I would, first of all, bring them into the conversations. I know some families don't like talking about money at the dinner table or business at the dinner table, and I respect that. But we oftentimes did. And the reason for that is they would ask, and I can sometimes tell funny stories, and they would like to hear funny stories about some of the houses or, some of the opportunities of businesses that I was looking at. I would also read books to your children about business. And what that looks like is, oftentimes our kids are involved in sports. And so I would listen to business books while we were driving to their sporting event or their practice. I understand some kids are going to be like, hey, just put a fork in my eye, but while listening to a business book, but you have to incorporate them and you have to make it fun. You have to make it interesting. You have to make it what I call alive. You got to bring the book to a life. So what I would do is I would pause the book and I would ask them questions about, hey, this gentleman or this woman just said this. What do you think about that? Oh, I didn't even hear that. Okay, well, let's listen to it again. Now, what do you think about it? Incorporate them into the book. Make it real. I firmly believe that you should read and do. Read and do. What do I mean by that? I mean that when I read a concept or I read a book, I try to implement it. I try to do it. I have many stories in my childhood where I was able to do that. And even now at 50 years old, read and do. I'll never forget this one time, part of our homeschool curriculum. And once again, we homeschooled our kids. My son did a business practicum with me. I had him read the book, Richest Man in Babylon. Such a great book. And there's a section in there about investing and trying to invest as soon as possible. Well, he's 18 years old. He's reading this. He calls me and he's like, Dad, I have this amount of money. I want to invest with you. I want to invest in fix and flip real estate fund. And so I drew up a contract, a promissory note. I signed it. He signed it. And still to this day, he's in college and he's making money while he sleeps because he read a book and he did the book. So those are some key concepts that I would have you do. Now, oh yes. So this is a wonderful question as well. As we know, our goal is to provide, protect, and promote. And I get this question a lot. This question is, can you give some ideas on how to promote others? Wonderful question, Brian. How can you promote others? I firmly believe that we are designed and modeled after God. I believe that we are made in his image. And I believe each one of us have unique abilities. It's our job, it's our pleasure as leaders to give this identity, to see it in others and promote it. I have 3 boys. Something that I did when they were very young is I spent a lot of time in prayer watching them about the 3 abilities that they had, the 3 unique things that they had. And I spent my life and continue to spend my life to promote those things in my kids. What does that look like? Well, you got to really pay attention. Some kids are really great with details. Some kids are really great with relationships. Some kids are artistic. Some kids are athletic. Some kids are just darn good kids. They just have great character and they're fantastic to be around. You want to speak those things into existence. Now I'm going to give you an exact example of how this works. We had 3 boys. We had, twins, and so we had a lot of energy, a lot of kids at our house a lot of the times. One of my boys has a radical gift of friendship, intelligence, empathy, and compassion. Now, if you're a guy, you remember being in high school, and oftentimes it's the loud and crude guys and sarcastic guys that get the laughter and they get the attention. Well, we all know that that's bad and that's not good. And this child in particular was trying to kind of be funny like that, but unfortunately, he didn't really have that gene. And so when he would try to be funny and loud and boisterous and sarcastic, it really come across as rude. And he would unfortunately hurt people's feelings and emotions, which is exact opposite of his gifting. So one time we were having a family event, a lot of the friends were over, and he had cracked this joke that was really hurtful and to somebody. And so I pulled him aside after a few minutes, and I brought him into a room and I shut the door and I said, "Hey son, listen, I love you. I know you're trying to be funny. I know that you're trying to be sarcastic, but that's not really how you were designed. You were designed for intelligent, compassionate, witty humor. But that's one on one. Like your gifting is one on one humor. And so people really have to know you, be in conversation with you. And that's really when you shine. I would stay away from this whole world of being sarcastic and rude. I love you. I gave him a hug. He said, thanks, Dad. Well, a couple weeks later, we go to this diner here in town called Frake's Diner. I'm taking him to breakfast before he leaves on a 6-month mission trip. This diner has some fantastic oldies music playing. This great oldies song come on, and I go, oh man, I love this song. And my son, who likes music, is like, oh, uh, is this the Beatles? And I said, no, this is a band called The Birds. And he goes, oh, the hierarchy of the animal kingdom. I get it. And I just started laughing because obviously birds eat beetles. Very intelligent humor, very witty. You got to be one on one. And I said, son, that's it. That's your humor. That's you. We're talking one on one. Hierarchy, animal kingdom. That's funny. That's intelligent humor. Like that's who you are. Well, man, he's eating it all up. He's got his shoulders nice and high. My dad thinks I'm funny. I'm reinforcing something that I said to him a couple weeks ago. I'm trying to have impact on his life, helping him be secure in how God has made him. So that's how you can promote. Another thing I wanted to mention was my wonderful wife. Some things that I've always enjoyed about her is that she's a woman of excellence. She tries to live a righteous life, and she is fantastic with meeting with people and one-on-one interpersonal relationships. So these 3 things, I always try to promote those 3 things in her life, whether that's, yeah, go have that meeting, or yes, let's have discipleship group for you on this night, even though, it might impede a little bit into our family time. Like this is your gifting. These are the 3 things that you're great at. And so I promote those things by oftentimes sacrificing time or helping her develop curriculum or praying with her. And so just finding 3 things about the most important people in your life, speaking those things into existence, creating opportunities or space or time for those things, and then also spending money on those things, which oftentimes in our family looks like books or looks like coaching or it looks like separating time so we can discuss those things. That was the first mailbag. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did. When we come back, I'm going to give another baseball Dan Can musings.
One accident can change everything. Are you covered? At DanCan Insurance Agency in Spokane, we protect what matters most: your family, your car, your peace of mind. Get a free quote in a timely fashion. DanCan, because you can count on us. DanCan Insurance Agency specializes in auto, home, motorcycles, and life insurance. Call us today at 509-328-1422.
Welcome back. Okay, so this is the Dan Can Musings, and it's baseball season. My Mariners won 1 out of 2. Let one get away there, but that's okay. So this is a musing where, once again, I was coaching baseball, and man, I love coaching baseball. And we had this really great team, like I talked about. And we had this one player. He was one of the older players, and he was a gem of a guy. I really, really enjoyed coaching him, but he was a little different, a little odd, as we all are. And we were playing in this, once again, really important game. And we actually got to play on this field called Dwight Merkle, where there's a bunch of fields around each other. And one of the fields next to us, well, they were practicing while we were playing a game. And they were bumping some tunes. They were playing some music. Now, I'm Latino. I like dancing, so I get where we're going on this deal. So they're playing the music. It's some catchy songs, and I had this pitcher, and he was pitching, and he was doing really well. And so well, in fact, he was jamming to the music, and he started dancing on the pitcher's mound as he's striking these people out. Now, I think this is humorous and funny. The other team does not. And so he keeps striking kids out, and then he's dancing. Well, unfortunately, some of the assistant coaches, they're looking at me and they're like, hey, you got to go out there. Like, we can't have this kid dancing, because now the parents are starting to get ticked because their son's striking out or they're getting out. We're winning by a lot, and this kid's out there dancing. And so after the coaches look at me, I go out there and I said, hey, listen, you can't dance while you're pitching and striking people out. And I'll never forget this. He looked at me and he goes, why not? I was like, yeah, it's baseball. You're supposed to have fun, but you can't dance. And so he's like, okay, coach. So he brought it down a little bit, but he strike people out. And the head nod, like he was still doing the head nod. And I remember the coach was looking at me. I'm like, hey, I talked to him. Like, there's nothing I could do about that. So that's amusing. You can't dance while you're striking people out in baseball. I know you're supposed to have fun, but you can't have that much fun. We're going to bring it back all together after this.
Tired of missing real estate deals because you were waiting for the bank to approve your funding? At Wave Capital Investing, we get you funded fast with flexible terms and a streamlined process. No red tape, no stress. Apply today at wavecapitallending.com and ride the wave to your next successful real estate investment.
All right, welcome back. Hey, we did the mailbag. I hope you got something out of that. Read books and do. Find 3 things, principles, character traits that you like about those around and love about those around you. Promote those by creating space, reading books, talking about it. If you want to get into business, start looking at yourself as Me Inc. Give 10%, save 10%, start saving for your dream. Find a mentor. Baseball is great, but you can't dance while you're striking people out. There's some unwritten rules. I'm really thankful that you took time for this podcast. If you want those books, the impact books, please email me at dancan@wavecapitallending.com. And as always, Dan Can listeners, love well and do good.